Hey everybody, this is Sean Riley with Riley Real Estate and MassHomesale.com with this week's Q&A Saturday video. This week I'm going to be answering the question of what is assigning the contract. So a while back I did a video on what is wholesaling. Just a brief reminder of what that is. We'll link to the video there. Real estate wholesaling is basically when somebody goes out and puts a property under contract and sells it to somebody else. Sells the contract to somebody else. So what you're being governed by is more contract law than real estate law. It's called having an equitable interest in the property, and you can sell that interest, as in the contract you have on the property, to somebody else. And that's a pretty important distinction to make. Massachusetts, and for as far as I know, New Hampshire, have not really been cracking down, as they say, on wholesaling activities, but there are some other states, in particular you hear a lot about Ohio, where they're cracking down on what they're saying is unlicensed real estate agent activity. What that is saying is basically wholesalers are being sloppy, and they're either telling sellers that they're going to sell their property for them, which is being a real estate agent, or they might not be saying anything like that, but then they go and say to their buyers or potential buyers, openly advertising that they're selling a property. First thing to understand is you're not selling a property, you're selling a contract that is secured by a property. That is actually a pretty important distinction between acting as a real estate agent and acting as a principal in the transaction. There are some situations where you can assign a contract and you will do what's called a double close, which basically you buy the property and then immediately resell it. This is something you can do sometimes with bank-owned properties or short sales and certain other situations. But for the most part, people try to assign contracts. So that's really the big thing. I've heard this come up a lot, and some new investors are kind of confused by it. And like I said, the main thing is you're not selling a property, you're selling a contract. So you need to put a property under contract with the seller, and you have to say that, you know, somebody's going to be purchasing this contract. You can write in it that it is an assignable contract, though typically, unless it says it's not assignable, a contract should be assignable. If we were going to do something like that, we would often have contracts where we said we might assign it, but oftentimes that's just because we could take title in multiple ways. You know, we own a couple different businesses. We could take it in our own personal name. We could establish a trust or something like that that would take the deed. So we like to keep the flexibility just so we can take title in different ways, but it also allows us to wholesale the contract if for some reason, as I mentioned in our previous video, you know, if we have more projects than we can work on at any given time, we might try to assign the contract to one of our colleagues that might be able to do the project better than we can at that time. But we don't try to get out of contracts if, you know, if we're unable to wholesale. We would only put something under contract that we feel comfortable buying anyway. So, you know, maybe we have to sit on it for a little while while we wrap up another project, but we would only put something under contract that we thought was good enough to buy. Which is a problem with a lot of wholesalers that have no intention or ability to buy a property. If they can't assign it, then they try to get out of the contract, which upsets the sellers, which is why sometimes they get reported to the real estate commissions, which is why the real estate commissions are looking into these kind of things. So it's a whole cascading effect there. So just looking quick to make sure I said everything I wanted to. I think I did. So again, signing a contract is a form of real estate wholesaling. Real estate wholesaling is when you are acting as a principal in the transaction, but assigning your contract to another another buyer, who will eventually go and buy the contract. You have to avoid saying that you're going to sell the property when you're talking to sellers, and you have to avoid marketing that you're selling a property or you're acting as an unlicensed real estate agent. That's sort of the major takeaways you need to have from this. Anyway, if you have any other questions, want me to elaborate further, put them in the comments below. And if you have a question you would like to see answered in one of these videos, always feel free to put it on our Facebook page, put it on our Twitter account, leave a comment below, or send an email to info@masshomesale.com. Till next week, have a great week, everybody, and I'll see you then. Thanks. Bye.